My name's Simon McRae. I represent War on Want, which is a development charity, and just want to echo some of the things that Alex said. It is a really desperate situation in the developing world. There's something like, I think, near to 200 million people, because of the global food crisis, because of the credit crunch, which are being driven into abject poverty, on top of the over 1 billion people which are already living in a very desperate situation. To give you some perspective, in Bangladesh, in the garment workers community, with people we work with, the price of rice has gone up 70%, but people's income hasn't gone up. They're working longer and longer hours just to make ends meet. They do not have access to income support. You know, you're saying something like 1/4 of the people in this island have to access income support. There is no income support. They are desperate. They really need this money. We need to open up the tax havens. And bringing the issue more back to home, we work with PCS, which is a trade union that covers revenue and customs. I don't know if you're aware, but the government is laying off or getting rid of 25,000 jobs in revenue and customs and shutting 200 tax offices. They are halfway through that program. They are actually just winding down the very department that could be collecting tax. And what's happened is the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament who investigate how efficient we are at collecting or how efficient departments are run, have discovered that senior people within the tax office or within the revenue and customs are leaving. They're losing the staff, the very people they need to look at those complex tax arrangements, to look at corporations who are dodging tax. We need to start at home. We need to get the UK government to focus, to stop cutting positions at the tax office, to stop the tax office closures, and to actually rebuild the tax office up so it can actually do its job properly.
I'd just like to be very interested to ask Jeff and any other people from Jersey here whether they think that people on the islands are prepared and ready for change and want change, and whether they want a more open, transparent financial services industry here, or whether they think things should stay the same, whether the island might deteriorate. Those are really interested to hear views on those issues. I don't know if Jeff wants to.
Well, this is a very specific question. I don't know if you want to address it right now or
I'll address it then.
Yeah.
Some days, yeah.
Okay. So we have the gentleman here, and then over there, and the gentleman besides. And then behind him here. Yes, please.
He's wonderful.
What I'm a little struggling with, I'm not sure you can actually stop tax savings, developing new ones, because if Estonia decides to introduce a zero corporate tax rate and gets its taxes to pay for the social services by another way, what can you do about it? Second thing, in the US there's a proposal to make the US a tax haven called a fair tax and abolish corporate taxes and income taxes. So in whatever way, the way I see things is it's difficult to see the stopping of tax havens per se. The value targets, though, I quite accept, are the information exchange and unfair trading practices. And so that's why I'm putting to question Ed, are you being diverted from what are the real targets to go for?
Yes.
My name is Martin. I work for ActionAid, which is a British overseas development charity. I think various of us in overseas development charities have explained a bit the rationale for our involvement, so I won't give a big explanation. But I just wanted to say something, which is that ActionAid takes quite a lot of money from Jersey, like Christian Aid, and sends it to developing countries. We take money we receive a generous grant from the Jersey states. We also take money from, I know there are people in this room who give money every month to ActionAid, which goes to communities in developing countries. My friend Heather, who's left now, was telling me that as a child in Jersey, she remembers going to fundraising events organised to support ActionAid. So quite a lot of money actually goes from Jersey to developing countries via ActionAid. And because we know that quite a lot of money also leaves developing countries and goes to tax havens such as Jersey, through this tax evasion, money that rightfully should stay with government, it seems to us irresponsible for us not to be campaigning on this issue to try and help that money to stay in developing countries. Otherwise, we're engaged in a complicated exchange of money that goes to and from, rather than just a simple flow where it should go from north to south. So that's why we're particularly interested in this issue. I wanted to make one point really, which is a kind of a personal point, and it relates to some of the discussion. I think it's great that there is a discussion here in Jersey that this dialogue is happening. But there's also discussion about tax in the UK, and I think it's important to say, as a British citizen, as a Londoner, I live in a tax haven too, by some definitions. There are elements of the taxation structure in Britain, the regulatory structure, that mean that businesses don't pay as much tax as they should do. That rich individuals who can afford tax planning can avoid paying taxes, whereas I, as someone who can't afford that, have to pay the full whack. And I think that's wrong as well. Just to give one particular example of that, as a Londoner, I'm paying for the Olympics through my council tax. Council tax is quite a regressive form of taxation. The poor pay more than the rich. London is the first city that's hosted an Olympic Games that has not funded it partly through increases in business taxation. Business in the City of London is not paying for the Olympic Games. Individual people, primarily the poor people, are. So just to say that I think in Britain we are having conversations about tax as well, and it's important to say that the British people here haven't come here to preach. But, we're having the same discussions at home, and so I think it's welcome that both jurisdictions have that discussion.
The gentleman here and then the lady there.
My name is Gil Blackwood. I'm a psychiatrist who spent 3 months in Zambia last year. I just really like to put a different slant on things. I know we're focusing on finance, but having been in a country like that, where I was working in their hospitals and working with their ministerial departments, it wasn't in the main money that was holding back their basic services. It was the poaching of professional staff. Their health service wasn't working because, if you take psychiatry, there were more psychiatrists in Blackburn than there were in the whole of Zambia. All their nurses were disappearing off to the UK or other European countries to support the ageing population there. And I know what they wanted was not more money, because at the time I was there, their economy was doing very well with the commodity boom in copper, and they had a non-corrupt president who was actually prosecuting his predecessor. But they just could not employ people. And it was quite appalling what was going on. So I don't think we should just get carried away and think that this is just something simple that will sort it out. And if I can just put a little rider, I think we oversimplify things. It's been well known that capitalist economies collapse. That has been known for hundreds of years. Marx was one of those people who put up a theory as to why they collapsed, that we could never generate sufficient profits in order to sustain the capitalist model. And I think, Marx said a lot there. I don't think we're collapsing because of SIVs or CDOs, no more than we're collapsing because of black tulips. There's something about our economic model that does not work. And we will continue to collapse. Probably another 20 years we'll be having another collapse. So I don't think we should just get carried away with tax havens.
Yes, my name is Dean Kershaw, and I'd like to ask a question. The observer man wants to know the results of what happened here.
Could you please speak up, because we cannot hear you.
I hear you. The observer would like to know what will happen here. And I would like to say that, for a start, we are either having or have British companies, shops, everything here, coming in from Britain, who do not pay a penny tax. Now, this doesn't go to our hospitals or our education, right? But we are being charged GST on the civil population, right? We have to pay for doctors up to £36 a time. And I would like to say, will you please let our state member give you the answer, what will happen when, if this goes, right? Then what will happen then? Because if the shops do not pay into the island from Britain, what then? Where does that leave us? They don't pay us